Okay, we are on Chaf Aleph Amud Aleph 21a at the bottom, last couple words. And if you remember, the case was in our Mishnah when the seller says, I'm not selling it for less than 4. The buyer says, I'm not buying it for more than 2. That type of neder, ziruzin, is a neder that they don't need to ask on, and it's not considered a neder because really they're both looking at 3. It's ways of business. Even the guy says, oh, I promise I'm not giving kunam, I'm not going to give. So that's the way of negotiating. Then the Gemara asks, what about a case when a person says, okay, I'm not going to go less than 4.1, and the guy says, I'm not going to pay more than 1.9. So it's like very specific numbers. Do we say that they're set on those numbers, or do we say that's also considered negotiation tactics? So the Gemara wants to bring a proof from the following case to show that it's also negotiation tactics, and the proof was the case where a person was telling us, "Come on, eat at my house, eat at my house," and the guy was so like frustrated, or whatever it was. He says, "I'm not even gonna have, I'm not gonna come in your house. I'm not gonna have a sip of drink from your house. Nothing. I'm not gonna eat even a small thing." The halacha is he's allowed to walk in, he's allowed to drink something small. He just can't have a whole meal because that's his promise goes on that. But and the answer is why? Because that's the way of talking. That's the normal way of talking. As we said over here as well, it's also the normal way of talking. Even though guy says 4.1, 1.9, it's still considered the normal way of talking in negotiations. And therefore, the Gemara wants to bring a proof that this is also considered negotiations and it's not a exact neder. Now the Gemara says, the last 2 words, Amar le, he tells him, this is a conversation between Ravina and Ravashi. So he tells them back, next page, dami. Are you going to compare those 2 cases? You're going to compare the case of the food coming in to drink a little bit and the case of our neder of negotiations? Are you comparing the 2 cases? The betzonen, regarding the case of the food, tzonen means the cold liquid. Tzadikim omrim me'at ve'osim harbe. Tzadikim, as it says in Pirkei Avot, and this is also in Balakama, about Metzia, tzadikim do a little bit. Sorry, they say a little bit, but they do a lot. And what this means to say is that the people that, with regards to the negotiations, is different than the case of come over and eat at my house. Because the case of negotiation, that's a business negotiation. Here, when it comes to come over to my house and eat, that is a case that a person knows that a tzaddik, we're talking good people here, and a tzaddik is the type of person that he'll just say a little bit, yeah, just come in for a little bit. Okay, fine, you don't want to come in for a big meal, just come in for a little bit. But they know that little bit is going to set up a whole table for him and everything like that, and therefore it's you can't compare like an exaggerating type of case to a case of business. 4.1 is very specific, whereas over here he knows that if he's going to even go in a little bit, he's going to get stuck eating a big meal because he knows tzaddikim, they say a little bit, oh, come on, it's fine, you don't want to come in for a whole thing, just come in for a little bit. And guys, I'm not even going to come in for a drop of water. And because he knows that he has to go to such extreme because he knows the guy's going to put on a whole table for him, he doesn't want that. So that type of exaggeration is not compared to like more of a business type of negotiation. Let's see the run. Midame, can you compare, second line down on the right side. Midame, can you compare the 2? Gabetzonen, tzadikim omrim me'at ve'osim harbe. Tzadikim say a little bit and they do a lot. Hilkach, therefore, mistafi hai, this person is like worried, or de'i modeh le b'tipat tzonen, if he agrees to even go in for a small drink, he's going to feed him a lot. And therefore, Amar, he says, tipat sonen, I'm not even going to come in for a little drink, because I know you're going to feed me so much. You're a tzaddik, you're going to give me so much. You're just saying, fine, okay, come in for a little drink. I have to therefore stay away from even a little drink, because I know you're going to give me a lot. V'lav davka, aval haka, deleka lememar haki, dilma davka kamar, v'lo lazarez. And therefore, but over here, when it comes to the business, maybe it's dafka 4.1, dafka 1.9, not in order to move the person. Meaning in the case of the eating at the guy's house, he's not saying, because the whole thing is, do we pin him on his words or not? So over here, the reason why he's saying, I'm not even going to drink a little bit of a drink at your house, and what's the halakha? He said, you could go and drink at the end. Why? Because when I had to go to an extreme, because I know you're at tzaddik, you're going to put out a whole table for me. I said, so, like the old grandmothers, this, you don't even walk into the door. I can't come in, because when you walk into the door, they're going to feed you a whole meal, right? So this guy as well, he said, no, I can't even come in for, not even drink. Even though it's an exaggeration. And okay, if it was really exactly a drink, he would go in and take a little drink and go home. But he knows the guy's going to put on a whole table for him. And therefore, that's what the halakha is. If he now changes his mind, I'm a little bit thirsty, can I actually have a drink? The halakha is, yeah, you can have a little drink. You can't sit and have a meal, but you could have a little bit of a thing. You're at least you won't walk in, you want to, because we know you're exaggerating. But when it comes to business, maybe the guy means exactly. And the Gemara therefore says, you can't compare the two cases. So let's go back to the Gemara, second line down. Hacha, therefore, hacha over here, sfekahu. It's a safek in the case of the negotiation. Dilma pachot misela, maybe less than a sela. Veyoter al shekel ka'amar, beziruzin havi. Maybe on the one side it is indeed to mezarez, to get to move him from his 4 to 3 or from 2 to 3, from sela, right, or a shekel. Or Dilma, or maybe Davka kamar, it's Davka, that 4.1 or 1.9 kamar, Venidravi, and it's a neder. Tibai is like we said, is like Teiko, is like it's a question, it remains a question. And the Ran, when we were reading, the end of that little piece that we were reading, which is the last word on the first thin line, Velo ifshat ba'ayan, and this question, ba'ayan, like ba'aya, this question is not ifshat, is not like straightened out, is not answered. V'naktinan the chumra, we go stringent. So we go stringent that if in such a case of 4.1, 1.9, we go stringent, we said that was an exact neder and not negotiation tactic. We go stringent. But in the 4 and 2, because it's an exact number, but it's not so exact as a 4.1 or 1.9. So therefore, in the 4 and 2, we say that they were negotiating, and they're not pinned to their number. Okay, here we go. Next, Gemara continues. 5 lines down. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav Asi. Rav Yehuda says the name of Rav Asi. Arba Nedarim halalu. These 4 Nedarim that were quoted in our Mishnah, tzrichim she'ela lechacham, need a she'ela from the chacham. They need to be undone. Not like our Mishnah. But then, says the Gemara, Ki Amrita Kabed Shmuel. When this was said in front of Shmuel, when Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav Asi, this saying to Shmuel, Amar, Shmuel says back to him, Tana, Tani, Arba Nedarim, Hitiru Chachamim. Ve'at Amar Tzruchin She'ela Lechacham. Hold on a second. Rav Yehuda and Rav Asi, you are saying it wrong. The Mishnah says these 4 things, the Chachamim allowed, and that they do not need to be undone. The guy says 4, the guy says 2. We don't pin them on their words. It's the other examples as well. So you're saying that they do. The Mishnah says not like it. Says the Gemara, Rav Yosef matnila lehashmata behai lishna. Rav Yosef, he taught this teaching in the following way. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Asi. I mean, this story he said in the following way. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Asi, because that's the same quote as Rav Yehuda Amar Asi above. En chacham rashay lehatir, ela ke'en arba'a nedarim halalu. That it's what Rav Yosef. So when Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Asi came to Shmuel, Shmuel said, 1 second, you're arguing on a Mishnah. Rav Yosef said, no, the story was as follows. That Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Asi said, a Chacham cannot allow these Nedarim, ela only ke'en arba Nedarim halalu. Any time a Chacham wants to undo any Neder, they have to be done like the 4 in our list. And how are they done? Kasavar, and he's of the opinion, en potchim becharata. We don't open with charata, with
regret.
Regret. Thank you. So So like this, we said before that there's two ways how to open up a neder: regret and what's called a petach. Petach is an opening. Regret is regret. So it seems like this. Regret is on a lower level than a petach. Petach is an opening. Regret is, I know I made that promise, and I held that promise, but today I changed my mind. Today I regret what I did. I regret that promise. A petach is, if I would have known at the time of the giving of at the time of the neder, if I would have known this information at the time, I wouldn't have made the neder. So it's a regret from the start. I want to undo the whole thing. Charata is a regret from today. I know I made a mistake, but I know today that I made a mistake. I regret today this neder. Until today, I was holding on to that neder that I gave. But now I see the mistake that I made and I regret it. Whereas a petach is an opening. If you would have known A, B, C, would you have made the neder at the time? Well, I wouldn't have made the neder at the time. So it's undoing the whole thing. So therefore, these four cases, and let's say the example of the 4 and the 2. The 4 and the 2, we said at the end, we said they both want 3. So that their mindset from the beginning is 3. From the beginning. That means that when they said their neder, I'm not selling it for less than 4. The guy in his mind says, I want this guy to go to 3. And this guy says, I'm not paying more than 2. It's okay, if he goes to 3, the price tag says 4. If he goes to 3, I'll take it. So from the beginning, it's not like their words. So so that's what Rav Yosef says, the quote of Rav Yehuda and Rav Asi is any time in the future that Chachamim undo a neder, it has to be an undone neder from the beginning. Not charata from today and onwards, and for the last 5 years that I had this neder, I was okay with it, but now today I regret it, but rather something undone from the beginning. If I would have known this at the beginning of my neder, I would have never done the neder. That's what the Gemara is saying.
Small question.
Yeah.
If both of them doesn't think like one says 2, one says 4, but in their mind one of them wants 250, one of them wants 350. Does it make any difference?
So
like they are both flexible again, yeah. But like they are not.
So according to the Ram, he said that's fine. As you said that you're flexible from the 2 and the 4. You're in negotiations.
Like the important thing is to be flexible.
Exactly.
Not the
right.
Not to be in the same place.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what he's saying over here, that to open up Nedarim, it needs to be like these 4 Nedarim, where at the beginning it was undone. Okay, let's read the Ran. The Ran, the right side, 5 lines down. En Chacham Matir, Ela Ken Arba Nedarim. Chacham cannot undo Matir and Neder only like these 4. Klomar, as if to say, she'en lo le'atir b'charata, you can't matir a neder with regret, ela b'petach, only with a petach, with an opening. Again, an opening is if you would have known this from the beginning. She'neder kishehu nitar b'petach, because a neder that is undone with a petach, mochiach mitocho, is learned from itself, shu neder taut, that it's a neder of a mistake. That's a mistake. I would have never made that neder if I would have known this. Ve'avikein arba nedarim, and it's like the 4 nedarim that we said, where at the beginning I was thinking 3. But b'charata lo. B'charata alone, regret alone is no. It needs to be a regret from the beginning. But a regular regret, where I'm only regretting today, I didn't regret until now. That's not. Ve'hainu ta'ama, de'adif petach m'charata. And that's the reason why petach is better than a charata. Lefi shekol neder shunitar bepetach, because every neder that's opened up with a petach, harei noder omer, it's as if the one that's making the neder is saying, shafilu bitchila keshenadar, that even at the beginning when I made the neder, ilu ayan noten libo oto petach, if you would have put on my heart that opening, lo ayan noder, I would have not made that promise. And he finds that neder was a mistake. I would have never done that neder. But a neder that's undone with just simple regret, eno motze im atzmo shum inyan. He doesn't have a situation. It's not a situation that if this would have been at the beginning, I wouldn't have made a neder. It's a regret of today. עכשיו מתוך הכעס או מפני מהירות נדרתי ועכשיו אני מתחרט על שנדרתי מעולם. Meaning, yes, the guy is saying today, of course, the guy is saying today that I wish, even in the case of regret, that means I regret from the beginning also. I'm regretting now this neder. That means, yeah, of course, if you asked me today, would I have made it then? I wouldn't have made it then. But it's not that I didn't know anything different. Now, petach is, here's some information that if you would have known this information then, would you have made the neder? No, I would have never made that neder then. In the case of a regular charata, there's no new information now. I just feel bad at the situation. Now I realize I was angry. I realize I made the neder very quickly. I only realize now. No new information came to light. Of course, when we say the word regret, I regret from the beginning. But I'm only regretting now based on same information. It only hit me now that I was angry. I did it very fast. So that type of charata, okay, that's an opening, but it's not. It doesn't work. It's not like the four. It's not like the four nedarim over here. It's not as strong as a petach. It's a very fundamental run when it comes to petach and versus charata. Okay, now we're going to see a few stories that that show this type of petach, and like a petach means charata from the beginning. It's a charata from the beginning. If I would have known this information, hahu. We're at the Gemara. The first word on the line is hahu. Halfway down, about 3, 6, 9, 15 lines down, 14 lines down. Hahu de'atala de'kamei de'Ravuna. There was a person that came in front of Ravuna, and he wanted to undo a neder. Amar le libcha alecha. He says, "Is your heart with you?" We're going to explain what this means. Like, I think, is your heart with you? Was your heart content with your neder from the moment you made the neder? Was your heart ever content from the moment you made the neder? Amar le lo. He said, no. From the beginning, from the moment I made the neder, I was regretting it. I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Vishari, and he allowed it. He undid the neder because it was a regret from the beginning. That's the point of these stories when we get to cases of a regret from the beginning. Let's see the run. Amar le libcha alecha. Is your heart with you? Klomar, haya libcha miyushav alecha b'shan shenadarta. Was your heart settled at the moment that you made that neder? V'gam achshav encha tohe benidrecha ad hayom. And also now, are you not going back on your neder? Ela shemiyom ze ve'elach ata rotze le'akero. One second. Okay, so let's read this again. Was your heart content? Was your heart settled at the time that you made the neder? And even now, are you not regretting your neder until today? Meaning, the guy comes today to regret the neder. Are therefore you saying that you didn't regret until this moment? But rather from today and onward, that now you want to undo it? And if it was indeed this type of situation, it's not a charata that we need. You need a charata me'ikara, a charata from the beginning of the story. That would be a proper way to undo. Or maybe your heart was not settled. Maybe from anger you made a neder, and therefore from that moment that you made the neder, your heart wasn't settled. That means from the moment you basically also regret it. And now you want to undo the beginning because you say that from my whole time my heart was not settled.
There's no timeline, like a person like a week after, I understand, finding a petach, a month after, but like let's say 5 years go by, there's no more petach, right? Because
It's a good question.
Being too long.
There's a quick
But-
petach run out. I don't know.
No, I don't think
There's
that
a
would be
famous
because-
story with. You go ahead.
No, please.
There's a famous story with Rabbi Akiva. That was the story of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva's daughter, or sorry, Rabbi Akiva's wife was the daughter of Kalba Savua. Kalba Savua was a very, very, very wealthy man. And she finds Rabbi Akiva, who's a shepherd, who's an Amaretz. She wants to marry him. He's like, "What are you doing?" He said, "No, I see a lot of potential in him." He said, "I don't care about potential. I don't care about potential. I want now. Tachlis. I'm a rich guy. You're a rich girl. You're this poor guy." She said, "No, I want to marry him." He said, "You want to marry him? I'm making a promise. You're not benefiting $1 from my estate." She said, "I don't care." They live in poverty. They live in poverty for years and years and years and years. Then he becomes Rabbi Akiva, and then but the following doesn't know.
It was always Rabbi Akiva.
He was he was
He
Akiva,
became-
then he became Rabbi Akiva. Yeah. Then years and years later, how did it go exactly?
Came back and then went back.
Rabbi Akiva came back with his student. Rabbi Akiva came back with his students, and I guess the father-in-law. Oh, I think at some point he felt bad. That it's been years that he wanted to,
Make amends.
make amends with his daughter. So he went to try go. He went to go try and doing the and undoing the neder. Right, to undo the neder. So they told him, if you would have known that he's going to be a Talmid Chacham, would you have made such a neder? He says, no, I wouldn't have made such a neder. So they allowed the matir him, and then Rabbi Akiva was there. He said, "It's me. I'm your son-in-law." I said, "What?" Like that was.
So if I make a nether,
But
if you make a nether or something,
And that was
like,
years later. That was years later.
that my daughter's not gonna marry this guy, and then all of a sudden he becomes rich. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
If I would've known.
if I would have known, like anything in life. Sorry, if I'm gonna say, I'm never going there. I'm never gonna talk to that person, and all of a sudden that person becomes a millionaire or a rabbi, right?
Yeah. That's actually, you're asking an excellent question, because I knew there's one part of this whole story that I forgot, and that's the question. The question is, a petach is at the start of the story, meaning, what's our story of Rabbi Akiva? He later became a Talmid Chacham.
Right.
If I would have known he became a Talmid Chacham, hold on a second. That if I would have known wasn't at the beginning of the story. It wasn't that the guy was a shepherd. If I would have known was not at the beginning of the story. He became a Talmid Chacham later. The way to undo it, that's exactly your question. The way to undo it has to be at the beginning, like if I would have known at the time of my neder
Right.
that he is a Talmid Chacham, let's say, or
Are you gonna be?
so like it needs to be at the time of the neder. He wasn't Talmid Chacham at the time of the neder. Answers the Tosfot there. I think it's a Masech Chagiga, or I forget what it is, but it's a Tosfot that asks this question and answers like this. It's an unbelievable line that says that one should know that if they go to yeshiva, they will be a Talmid Chacham. And therefore, he knew he was going to yeshiva. He knew Rabbi Akiva was going to yeshiva. That he knew at the time of the neder. She's like, I see a lot of potential of going to yeshiva with him. So this guy's...
He didn't know how to read it.
Well, he didn't know how to read. He didn't know how to write. But the fact he's going to yeshiva, he will be a Talmid Chacham. And therefore, he wasn't at the time, but the fact that he knew he was going to yeshiva, that was not... That's what it says in Tosfot there. It's called nolad. Nolad is something that was born later. It was only born later. It was Rabbi Akiva later. So if I would have known, that was later. So no, it was also born now at the beginning. Also, he knew because he didn't know he was going to yeshiva. And there's a rule: if he goes to yeshiva, he's going to be a Talmid Chacham. You don't see it now. You don't
then
see
you
the,
can't break the nether.
right? No, so then you could undo the neder because
Right, but at that time, if you made the nether, you knew that the possibility could have because
No,
no,
so
going to
that's-
yeshiva.
meaning it's you knew but you didn't know. Meaning it's that's what a petach
just
is.
said if you go to yeshiva, you become a Talmid
but that's what a petach is. A petach is if I would have known at the time. If I would have known, I know at the time he went to yeshiva. I didn't know this rule necessarily that the guys become to Chacham. But the Chacham are telling us, oh, you knew he went to yeshiva. He's going to be a Talmid Chacham. If you would have known that yeshiva boy that it was not something in the future. He didn't go to yeshiva 5 years later after he met his daughter. It wasn't like he became Baal Tshuva later. It was at the beginning. He already knew the story, so the seeds were already there.
If he wasn't going to the yeshiva,
then that opening wouldn't have opened it, according to that Tosfot.
but it doesn't
Meaning-
make any sense. Like otherwise, if he already knew that he's going to the yeshiva, so there is a potential, and like it's even better. So if he didn't let, he shouldn't let still.
No.
Otherwise, she married to a bum, who later became Baal Teshuvah and Rabbi
Right.
Akiva.
So in that case,
Then-
it wouldn't have worked.
But it should work
The opposite
actually
way.
then.
No. So because at the time, if you would have known, but it's not something you could have known at the time of the nether. You need something that you could have known at the time of the nether, but you didn't have it in mind. I know he went to yeshiva. I didn't have it in mind that he's going to be a Talmid Chacham. The Chachamim tells me afterwards, yeah, there's a rule, like he'll be a Talmid Chacham. But I didn't have it in mind at the time. So I said, I'm making a nether.
Anyone will become a rabbi.
But if it's
potential.
after the story, it wasn't something that I would have at the time of my nether would have known to be undone.
It also sounds like he said it out of cast, like he was upset that she was going. So he
Yeah,
didn't
that
have
I
everything in
understand.
mind when. He
But
said-
again,
Yeah.
the patah occurs not because of cause, not because he had the potential and he didn't know. But actually, if it was like if you say if somebody tells, I said it at that time because I was angry. I said it at that time because I saw no potential. Then you regret and you respect his position, and you.
To me, it sounds like he didn't put enough thought, because if he put
Right.
enough thought, it would have been he would have.
He would have
made it
determined,
better.
right? He
But
would
then
have-
you-
There's a missing, like,
so-
there's information
It's
there,
even
but he
worse.
didn't put it into his mind at the time.
But like if he didn't put enough thought and made the nether, so what's the point of nether?
No, because then we told him afterward, you made the nether. Now he wants to regret the nether. Then we tell him afterwards, there was a piece of information at the time of your nether that you had, you
You
didn't
know
put it
about.
into your mind. And that is, when the boy goes to yeshiva, he will be a Talmid Chacham at the end. And he said, if I would have known that, if that would have been in the front of my mind, if I would have known that, I would have made the nether, then that undoes the nether. Not something that came later. Okay, we're the nolad part we're not talking about now. That's that story, but here it's a petach of meikara from the beginning. Okay, let's go to
Data.
okay. Let's just see quickly the Ran. We got to the bottom of that one. The Ran, which is 4 lines up in the thin lines. Amar le lo, meaning he told him, was your heart settled when you made this neder from the beginning, or was it unsettled? And that means from the beginning you already regretted. Amar le lo, he says no, it was unsettled. Klomar, reading the Ran. Klomar shalom mitoch yishuv hadat nadarti. I didn't make a neder from a place of yishuv hadat, of calmness, but chila from the beginning. Ulefichach ani mitcharet kshenadarti me'olam. I regret from the moment it wasn't settled to me this neder. That's why he allowed him. This is the key line. I'm actually going to underline it over here. This is the key line in this whole Gemara. Umihu davka becharata demeikara. Specifically the charata from the beginning. Ki gavna, like this story where the guy was unsettled from the moment he made a neder. Ava becharata dehashta, the charata of today. I'm only feeling bad today. That no. Okay, let's continue. Again, about halfway down the page. Hahu de'ata lekame de Rabba bar Ravuna. Someone came to Rabba bar Ravuna. And he told him, I want to get out of this nether. Ilu hayu asara bene adam shefaisucha be'ota sha'ah. If there was 10 people there that would have calmed you down at that time, minadarta, would you have made the nether? If there was 10 people there at the time that would have calmed you down, would you have made the nether or not? Amar lo. He said, I would not have made the nether. I would have been able to be calmed down. And he allowed him. He found an opening that could have been there at the beginning, 10 people, and it would have undone it from the beginning. Tanya, the Braita says, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Yehuda says, Omrim lo le'adam, lev ze alecha. We tell the man, is your heart like with you? Was it settled with you at the time of your nether? Im amar lav, If the guy says no, it was not settled, from the moment they made the neder, it was not settled, matirinoto, we allow it. We undo the neder. Rabbi Ishmael, Rabbi Yosef Omer, Ishmael, the son of Rabbi Yosef, says, Mishum Aviv, the name of his father, Omrim Adam, we tell a person. This is like rules that we learned from these past two cases. We tell a person, if there was 10 people at that moment that would have calmed you down, meaning that would you have made the neder? If you would have said no, I wouldn't not have made the neder, we allow it. So from here, the Gemara wants to say we learn two rules when it comes to undoing a neder from the beginning. That's the key over here, to undo the neder from the beginning. Undo the neder from the beginning is we could tell him either was your heart settled in the beginning or not settled, and another opportunity is if there would have been 10 people there at the time calming you down, would you have still calmed down or would you not been calm? And if he says, yeah, I would have calmed down, then we would undo the neder. Okay. The siman is always just how to remember these next cases. Asi ve'elazar, Yochanan ve'yanai. I think we're just going to do maybe the first two to the end of the page. Hahu de'ata le'kamed Rav Asi. There was someone that came to Rav Asi. Amarle told him, Kadu Tahita. Let's see the Ran over here. He told him, I want to undo my neder. He says, Kado Tahita. Let's see the Ran, which is 2, 4, 6 lines down in the wide lines. Klomar, Atam mitcharet charata demikara. Are you coming to regret, like a regret from the beginning of the story? Were you regretting already from the beginning? Midashon tohe ala rishonot. From the lashon of tohe ala rishonot is like questioning from the beginning. Are you questioning? When you're coming in and regretting, was this a regret that was on your heart from the beginning? Are you regretting from the beginning? Amar le lo. So he says no. If you say no, then what do you mean? No is not what you want to say over here. That's what the next Ran says. Amar le velo bitmiya. Like, and no, like what else am I doing here? Of course, that's velo and not. Am I not coming to? Of course, I'm coming to bitmiya, like in a question form. Lo, like, am I not coming for? Of course, I'm coming to express that my regret is from the beginning. Visharye, and he allowed him. Continuing in the Gemara. Ahu de'ata lekamed Rabbi Elazar. There was someone that came to Rabbi Elazar, Amarle, and he told him also, I want to undo my neder. Amarle ba'it nedor. And he said, ba'it nedor. So the Ran says, ba'it nedor, rotze ata ad achshav benidrecha. Do you want your neder? Do you want your neder until this point? Do you want your neder until this point? And only from now do you want to regret? Or is it from the beginning? Amarle, ilu lo meragzinli lo ba'inan klum. The guy tells him back, if they didn't get me upset, I would have not said nothing. The next Ran, if they didn't make me upset from the beginning, I would not have made the neder. Lo bevadai ela al yedei kas nadarti. ולפיכך אני מתחרט עכשיו על שנדרתי מעולם. I'm doing charata now on what I did from the beginning. If they wouldn't have got me angry, I wouldn't have made a neder like at the beginning. So are you coming now to make only from now and forward are you regretting? He says no, because if they wouldn't have got me upset, I wouldn't have made it at the beginning. Amarle teheh kibait. He says, okay, that's like your will. Go ahead like your will, and you could undo the neder. 3 lines up from the bottom. Amarle, hahi itita. There was a lady, the adarta lebarta, that she made a neder on her daughter. Like told the daughter, I don't want you to benefit from me, etc. And then she wanted to undo the neder. Atad Kamed Rav Yochanan. She came to Rav Yochanan. Amar la. He told her, Ilu hava yadat. If you would have known, the Amran megirtich, that your neighbors are saying Allah de bartach, like about your daughter. They're talking about you and your daughter. Ilu, and they're saying, on the top of the next page, Ilu lo chamat ba ima. If the mother didn't see in the daughter milinda aziva, shameful words, bichti lo adarta. For no reason, she wouldn't have made a promise for no reason. Miyadarta, would you have made a neder? So meaning, he says like this, she made a neder against her daughter. My daughter, I never want to talk to you again, don't come to my house again. And then she feels bad. And she goes to the rabbi, I feel bad, I want to undo my neder. So he says like this, here's a petach. He says, if you would have known that from the moment you made the neder, neighbors would have been talking about you, and they would have said, wow, look at this daughter. She must have done something really bad and shameful to get her mother to make such a neder. Her mother wouldn't have done that for no reason, and that's from the beginning. Like they're undoing the So actually, this is a case of a petach where it's not really a regret. It's a regret. I mean, everyone's coming forward to undo the neder as a regret, but it's a case of a petach. If you would have known, right? So if you would have known that the neighbors are talking from the beginning and saying, yeah, this daughter, she's a shameful daughter, she must have said something shameful, the mother wouldn't have done this neder for no reason, would you have made a neder if you would have known the neighbors are talking? Amra lo. And she says, no, I wouldn't have made such a neder. Visharya. And he allowed her to undo the neder.
Yeah, so there's no point of making a neder, because if you make a neder and you know the circumstances can change or are different, so therefore there's always a get out of.
It depends what you know. Like, let's say the lady would have said, well, I again, everyone's honest here. So the lady
it's
says,
your daughter.
No, so the lady says, I know the neighbors were talking, and it seems like the rabbi's bringing her something to light. Hold on, so let me tell you something. You know, the neighbors are talking. Would you have done this if the neighbors? Well, you know, I really didn't think about it that way.
I know the neighbors, and they know the yentas, and then
I know. But so if she would have answered back, I know the neighbors talk. So then that wouldn't have been a petach. They would have to find something else. Did you know that?
You realize what you just said? They'll find something else. So you're looking for an exit from the neder.
That's what's happening. Right? The guy's going. They're trying to find a petach.
Huh?
That's what they call an opening.
They're trying to find an opening for her. They're trying to find an opening.
But when you make a neder, it should be bound, unless
that's what I'm trying to see. That it's that how tight is that neder? Is there an opening somewhere? If you would have known that, if you wouldn't have known that. So if let's say she's an honest lady, she says, you know what? Yeah, I know the ladies. They warned me. Hey, we're going to start talking about you if you wait. So I knew that already. So then we would have came up with something else.
Okay.
But here they say, she's like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I wouldn't have made this agenda if I would have known the neighbors are such yentas. I'm new to the community here. I didn't know there's such yentas in this community.
Yeah.
You know,
I think you should move then.
yeah. So
this is more about how to cancel a neder than why a neder is like the subject is how to cancel the neder.
Tarat Nedarim. This is not Tarat Nedarim. This is like basically
undoing
the
it.
neder
No.
without.
That's
having
not a
to-
Tarat Nedarim. Like what
cancel.
we're studying is not when a neder is works. Instead of it, right now we are concentrating on how to cancel it.
right. Yeah, in this piece, yes. I mean, we started with the 4 nedarim are not even nedarim.
Like when you find a petah, then only after that you can do a Tarat Nedarim.
No, you don't need a Tarat Nedarim. No.
No,
There's
once
a
it's
petach,
it's
then,
out.
Then it's finished. The nether is not valid.
Right.
Okay.
right. So
They're trying to find the easy way out, and if there's no easy way out, then they have to do a Tarat Nedarim.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Hashem's chesed that you can find yourself.
sometimes exactly.
Sometimes imagine if there's no way out of a nether.
Then you're there's
that's
exactly.
it, your entire life.
You're stuck with that nether. You're stuck
Okay,
with every
whatever.
time you violate.
Question. For example, I made a konan like I say I'll give you this amount of money every month. Whatever, and you depend on it, and you begin to live like that. And one day I say, I cannot do it anymore. Let's
So,
go. And
So you go to the Chacham, and then he asks
And then-
many questions about it. If you would have known, you were going to have been stuck in a situation that you can't pay anymore, would you have made it? No, because I wouldn't have made it. I thought my whole life I'm relying on this
Okay.
amount of money for my own self, and I know I could
What
give
about the
this
third
amount.
person? He's being
Affected.
affected.
It's life. I mean, it's your neder, it's your thing, right? You know, people all the time let's say they sign up,
Let's
they give $100 a month for tzedakah, $100,
Okay, let's say
and then things change.
the
Guys,
nether is
things
like
change.
this. If you give me this bracha, I will give you this month. Or if you do this job for me, I'll give you like $100 every month.
So that's a neder.
But not
tonight.
think that like it's not a business. It's something totally different.
If you
Speak to my daughter and calm her down, I'll give
I'll
you
give you
this.
$100.
But that's not another.
So so we said a neder tonight. Does it go? Doesn't it go? I don't know. I don't think it worked. No. How do we talked about it already? It's a condition. Neder. We spoke about something like that recently.
Yeah,
No?
there is
We
no
spoke about
there shouldn't
something.
be conditions for nether.
Right. Well, that's Rabbi Tarfon. That's Rabbi Tarfon's explanation. There's no condition. Once there's a condition, I said, if that guy's a Nazir, I'm a Nazir. If that guy's not a Nazir, I'm right. Once there's a condition, Rabbi Tarfon, and then Rabbanan argue and say, no, conditions work. What was Rabbanan's explanation? But in certain cases, Rabbanan
didn't
also...
Close the deal. We're still working on
Yeah, still working on it.
it. Okay.
Yeah, so Rabbanan could also do a condition, but conditions could work according to Rabbanan. According to Viterfon, no. Okay, so Akopanim, we're talking about here Petach and a few different situations of Charata from the beginning and a Petach from the beginning. Chazak Ubaruch, and we'll continue on Sunday.
Are we done?
Yeah.
One,
On the recording or not on the recording?
you don't need to.
No?
Uh,